When I turned 34 last month, I committed to changing my life with a series of 30-day challenges. The first was getting up earlier. This is how I fared, and this is the advice I would give if you are ready to level up your life too. Welcome to the How I Changed My Life in 30 Days series. Now, I have some tips to share about waking up early, but before I dive into those, let me briefly explain why I'm doing this. Obviously, for years, I have been really interested in productivity and personal development. I read about it a lot, I research it a lot, and I try things out in my own life a lot. And I see the same things coming up over and over again. Maybe you have seen those articles too, about the top habits of the most successful people. And they all say more or less the same thing. The most successful people get up early, they meditate daily, they practice gratitude, they exercise regularly, eat healthier, etc., etc. So with my 34th birthday looming, I thought, feck this, if I want 34 to be a standout year, then I have to make it happen. So that is what I'm doing. If you would like to change your life in 30 days, then join the Facebook group. New challenges go up there every 30 days, and it is a great place to find, supportive people. It's a great place to get advice and just to meet like-minded people who are changing their lives for the better too. I started with a big one. For me, getting up early. Now, I would consider myself a night owl, I always have, but again, everything I was reading was saying that the most successful people rise early. So, because I want to walk the walk and test things out before I dismiss them, I decided that I was going to get up at 6:30 every morning. Maybe that's not early to you, it is early to me. It's about an hour earlier than I would normally wake up, and even that's only because I have to get Scout ready for school. But after 30 days of it, more or less, I did have some slightly later mornings while I was sick, but I am now naturally waking up between 6 and 6:30. So, how did I do it? I started by going to bed earlier. And I know that sounds really obvious, but I hear loads of people say that they just can't wake up early in the morning. But when I ask them what time they go to bed at, invariably it is sometime after midnight. You can't wake up early if you're going to bed late. You really have to be getting adequate sleep if you want this to become a habit. For me, I found the first few nights quite difficult. I kept waking up several times in the night, and I think it's probably because my brain knew that I was going to have to wake up earlier, so it was on high alert. It was thinking things like, is this it? Is this when we're supposed to wake up? Is it now? How about now? So if you experience that too, stick with it. After about a week, I gradually started going back to sleeping through the night again. But if you want to wake up earlier, you have to start going to bed earlier. Another thing that helped me, because I knew my brain was going to be a little bit more alert. Why is that? Actually, does anyone else get that? When you know you have to be up earlier, all of a sudden your brain wants to keep you awake all night. But what helped me was listing things that I am grateful for. Gratitude is another habit that I eventually want to incorporate into my daily routine because, again, it's one of those success habits. So each night I would list things out in my mind. It's kind of like the successful person's equivalent of counting sheep. Worked like a charm. I went to sleep feeling happy and content and full of good memories. Now, if you are like me, you are not exactly alert and full of energy first thing in the morning. I used to combat this by immediately checking my emails and social media just to try and give my brain something to focus on, to give it a bit of a kickstart. But I thought, what is the point in waking up earlier if I am basically just going to be wasting that time? The whole idea was to be more successful, to start my day off on the right foot, to get some stuff done before my daughter had even woken up. So I decided to read a few pages of an inspirational book. A book that wasn't Facebook. Right now, I am reading Tim Ferriss's Tools of Titans, but the specific book isn't important. What's important is that I am consuming content about successful people and how they go about their day and how they achieve their goals. And that in turn motivates me to want to achieve my goals. That is how I start my day. So if you're not exactly the leap out of bed type, pick something that will inspire you, pick something that you love to do, something that will spark something in you, something that will make you want to get up and live your life. Another thing that I struggle with, and I knew I was going to have to address this problem if I wanted the experiment to be a success, and that is that my brain races at a mile a minute and I find it really hard to switch off. It can easily take me half an hour or more to fall asleep at night, and that's on a good night. So I needed to make winding down a priority. I know from years of experience that 7.5 to 8 hours is how much sleep I need. Then, knowing that I was going to be waking up at 6:30, I figured that I was going to have to be falling asleep somewhere between 10:30 and 11 p.m. And given that it takes me so long to fall asleep, I knew that I would have to be in bed by 10 p.m., which means that I would have to start getting ready at 9:45. So each evening I shut the laptop down at about 8:30 and I read for a while. Now, the important difference here is that I made sure that I was reading something not boring, but something fictional, something kind of mindless where I could just switch off and let the story take over. If I had been reading the same book as the morning time, I would have just found myself wide awake again, buzzing with ideas. So keeping it fictional really helped. So yeah, getting into a really good evening routine, preferably without screens, so that you have plenty of time to kind of wind down and prepare for sleep, and then to make sure that you are actually falling asleep at the time you need to. That is going to make waking up so much easier. If you can, try and get into the habit during the spring and summer months when it is bright in the mornings and reasonably warm. That will really help. And then, once winter rolls around and the mornings are cold and dark, the habit will already be ingrained and you won't find it nearly as difficult. At least that's what I'm hoping. And finally, you need to do something good with your morning. If you are waking up feeling awful, you're just not going to stick with it. If you need the extra sleep, take it. The challenge is not about sacrificing sleep. But when you are up a little bit earlier, try to do something you love with that time. Maybe it's just, sipping a cup of coffee in peace. Maybe it's getting a head start on your work. Maybe it is listening to your favorite podcast. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's getting a few chores done that will then help free up the rest of your day. Whatever it is, make your mornings great. A big reason that I chose this particular challenge to start with was because I was finding that I was really rushed in the morning. I was really pushed for time, and I found that I was getting frustrated with Scout if she wasn't moving fast enough. And then I realized that it's not her fault if I decided to lie in for an extra few minutes instead of getting her up on time. She shouldn't need to hurry. I shouldn't need to hurry. So now I get up an hour earlier. I read, I reply to some emails, and I get a start on my work. And I don't snap at my daughter. For me, even though I would probably still consider myself a night owl, I think I'm going to continue doing this one. The plan with these challenges is to try new habits and see which ones stick, which ones are worth the effort, which ones are making my life better. And this is one of those habits. I changed my life in 30 days. And you can too. Remember to join the Facebook group. It is linked below. We have just kicked off challenge number 2, daily meditation. And if you want more advice on waking each morning feeling inspired, then check out a recent video I recorded on the topic. It is packed full of more tips to help you take on the day with enthusiasm. Until next time, go set that alarm for 5 minutes earlier. And I can't wait to cheer you on in the Facebook group. Gura mila mahagwev. Agus feki me ship shigalua. Slán.